axe is full. Go forth to the kingdom, where the usurper awaits. Reclaim the throne, and fulfill the calling of the true king.
Umbra. Be waiting in Hammerhead.
Your Highness, I'm glad you're okay.
You did all this for me?
All this for the King of Kings. Let not their sacrifices go in vain. He must make haste for the seat of the stone and ascend as its rightful heir. Our paths shall cross again.
Thanks. I hope they do.
And thus the Chosen King is ready. Welcome back to part 38 of Final Fantasy XV. Today, we're gonna work our way home. We need to reunite with our old friends. Start working our way back to the Crown City to take back the throne. And to be honest, I love this chapter. The Royal Edition has given it quite a big makeover to help make it a bit more fleshed out, a bit better, but even the original version, just the story, impactfulness of it and everything it was trying to do was just beautiful in my opinion. And I just love it, and so very much look forward to the last few parts of this game, because we are there now, we are on the final stretch. As you might have noticed, I did squeeze in the Comrades cutscene with the Comrades guys waiting at the end of the island for the boat for Noctis. Equally, there's another cutscene that's exclusive to the Comrades that I'll be showing off in this part later on. But as we get on our boat, we'll be arriving at Golden Key. You might remember Golden Key, because it was the last place we explored in Chapter 1. It's a very big full circle effect, I guess you could say, of this chapter. We're working our way back to where we started, starting at the end of Chapter 1, working backwards. Because after this we're heading to Hammerhead, and then after Hammerhead we're heading home. Into Insomnia. And make the most of this section, because it's not as open as you might think, even though you're in the open overworld. You can't go about and explore the whole overworld right now. It's just what it is. You can only explore it in the first 8 chapters area of the game, so to speak. Once we beat the game, we'll be able to explore it properly again. But until then, this is what we've got. Everywhere are enemies. Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is protected. Everywhere has enemies. You have to find areas of artificial light to be away from demonic life. And even then, some demons will risk it and go into the light for a brief while to attack you. Because as you can see, Golden Key here is completely abandoned in this world of ruin. Which is a nice little reference to Final Fantasy VI, because that had the world of ruin. And over here are the most infamous enemies in the fucking franchise. The Tonberries. So every Tonberry, I don't have a stat list for them because they're not bosses, but every Tonberry in every Final Fantasy are infamous for being very fast, being extremely brutal, and having ludicrously good health and defense. These guys can and will kill you really quickly if you give them the chance, so just be very defensive and you should be fine. And eventually I just nuke them, which to be fair they are resistant to. There's a chance they won't connect. And as I destroy them and there's just more. There's a whole room of guys over here. This was the room we rested in when we found when we was given the newspaper reporting claiming that Insomnia had fallen and King Regis had died. So just a little note that so this bust in the wall actually has significance what's in here. I think I wait for my magic to restore and just nuke these guys as well, because the enemies are pretty damn strong in this area, and for the rest of the game can actually be quite a threat if you're not careful. Yeah, I even use armor go on them in the end because these guys start kicking my ass. Yeah, and there's even things like this, like a Naga. Remember when we fought the Naga? When we was on our quest for Ramu? Surrounded by 2 liches. I think this is around the point where I just say stuff it, let's just get a move on. And stop fighting everything. Because if you try and fight everything along the way, you're gonna be here for a long while. Because there's a lot here. There's even hobgoblins from Costalmark, for goodness sake. Yeah, they're a lower level, but they're still here. This is rather annoying. Despite being over a week since I went through the worst of it, there's still aftermaths of the illness that I had last week that I really suffered on them last Monday with the second Prompto part. Also, they throw rocks at you, the little cheeky gits. Because most of the enemies here are demonic life, Holy is a good option because almost all of them will be weak to it. So I shut up for a second because I could have sworn I heard fireworks, and it's like 10 AM right now when I'm recording this in the UK, and that's why I was like, what the hell, did I actually just hear fireworks? Who knows. Anyway, we need to head up to Hammerhead. It's a very linear path up to it. You can't really explore openly, so don't worry about it, and you don't have to run the whole way, but I won't spoil that too much. You just don't worry about having to make the trek all the way up. And of course, this is also in the dark. There are iron giants about anyway, because they are usually about during the night. Over there in the fields, you can see different versions of bombs, which is a little interesting, because it's kind of just that haunting glow in the distance, I think is the best way to describe it. And also, this is where before the DLCs came out, this was the one and only time you'd fight a demon wall. And these guys were like level 80 something, so it's really not worth your time fighting them. Because if you're a high enough level to fight them, you're going to murder the final boss. You're going to be way too over leveled for it. I think they might have lowered their level now, but they used to be like level 80 something. They really were not worth fighting. Yeah, I think at this point I just don't bother with any enemies. Which, to be fair, can you blame me? There's so goddamn many. If I took down all the enemies here, this video would be 40 minutes long. The easiest way to find your way through is to stick to the road, really. There's no point dawdling going off the field, really, if you can help it. Just stick to the road. The only thing you have to be wary of is every time you go through these little gaps in the mountain, there'll almost definitely be a demon wall in it, which once again, pretty devastating if you're not ready for them, especially if you've got only the base game and not the DLCs or Royal Edition, where this will probably be your first encounter with them. You can do hunts in the main game, but you're very unlikely to have done those hunts by now. Unless you're really, really, really got a hard on for completionist. Because the hunts are not fun. The hunts get boring. I'm going to let that... That's one of my criticisms of the games. They could have done a lot more of the hunts than what they did. But as we approach this road, we're going to get an interruption and another pretty large chunk of cutscenes. So brace yourself, because I'm going to have to stop talking again as the game takes over. I think this is going to happen a lot for the rest of the game, but also the main game of me not talking. There's going to be more video of me not talking than video of me talking. But I digress.
Yeah?
It's me, Talcott. My grandpa served the Amicidia family.
Talcott?
Yeah.
No way.
Yes way. Welcome back, Your Majesty. Yes, sir. That's right. Huh? Just a second. Said he wants to have a word with you.
He can have it in person.
He said you can have it in person. Okay, We should be there shortly, sir. Wow. I can't tell you how good it is to see you again.
Yeah, you sure look different, though.
You think so? Guess I've grown some these 10 years.
10 years.
The guys must be pinching themselves right now.
Where are they, anyway?
Lestalem, more often than not, but they take a lot of trips to Hammerhead. For Miss Cindy. You know, back at the garage. She's a tough one, but when she needs a little extra muscle out on the road, she gives him a call.
Huh.
Oh, speaking of which, the guys said they're near Hammerhead right now, so we'll be meeting them there. You know, ever since you disappeared, Your Majesty, it's been nothing but nighttime non-stop. Lestalem still has light thanks to the power plant, so just about everyone's taken refuge there.
Only there?
Everywhere else has been abandoned. Demons moved in, forcing the people to move out. People still swing by the garage at Hammerhead from time to time, but it usually isn't for repairs. These days it's less of a service station and more of a slayer station, a base for demon hunting. The garage is still open though, one of the few places that is.
So, Sid, he's still alive and kicking?
He's kicking all right, just not as hard as before. He hasn't really been himself lately. At least, not since he moved out to Lestalem. Someone suggested he move the garage there too, but old man Sid wasn't having it. He called it a big fat chocobo turd of an idea. He said it just wouldn't be the same anywhere else.
That sounds like Sid, all right.
Miss Cindy said she didn't mind either way, so the garage will probably stay put for a while. And without any tinkering to do, Ignis's gourmet seafood is about all Sid has left to look forward to. With all the demons prowling around, more folk were getting hurt. Or worse. So Iris talked the Marshal into taking out the demons themselves. Iris the Demon Slayer, they call her. Gladio and the others, they lend him a hand whenever they can. Prompto spends most of his time hunting around Hammerhead. He tries to impress Miss Cindy, but she's already married to her work.
And Ignis?
He hunts too. We tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen. He said if anything, he's more used to the darkness than we are.
Never got his vision back.
I'm afraid not. But that being said, he gets by pretty well on his own. Gladio and Prompto usually hunt on their own as well. It isn't often you see the three of them together nowadays. They still work as a team every once in a while, but each has his own set of tasks to keep him busy.
Is that so?
We've arrived, Your Majesty. Everyone will be so happy to see you. Don't worry, I won't be going anywhere. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
Hey.
Hey? That's all you have to say for yourself after all this time?
Noct! It's you! It's really
Is
you!
it? I hadn't realized.
Well, well. You kept us waiting.
Not like I wanted to. We've got catching up to do.
Let's head inside.
Those glaives gave their lives for us. If it weren't for them, we might not even be standing here right now.
I know. I just wish I could have thanked them. Even in the face of darkness, they fought for the light.
They didn't just fight for the light. They fought to keep hope alive. If you really want to thank them, then you need to become that hope.
And to that end, we pledge to you our total support. As the glaives before us fought to defend their king, so shall we.
Thanks. We've got a long road ahead of us. Better get ready.
Despite 10 years, everyone still looks perfectly fine clothing-wise. Like, seriously, there's not a single cut or ruin or tear on their clothing. What, they just buy the same clothing over and over again to make sure it's the same? Like, Noctis I can understand because he's been in the crystal for 10 years. So he's never been in I can argue he's been in some magical different state where no deterioration could have happened. But the other three... No. There's no magic in that shit. You've been messing around a little bit. But this station here, where we're now in Hammerhead, when in the original base game, this was your final sort of setup point where you could get equipment together, yada yada. Because when you progressed onwards, you were on the final path, final boss, done. But since this is Royal Edition, we do have a bit ways to go, so this is not quite the final one, just one of the last ones. Also, everyone else is kitted out with equipment, and the equipment here is better than the equipment you could have brought between Chapter 10 and 13. And we're now also going to spend all that 400 odd AP here to start boosting everyone to stats and situations that they probably should have been for a while now, but I just never got around to. You're going to see me fiddle around with it. And that's pretty much it for this part. The next part onwards is going to be working our way to Insomnia, storming Insomnia, and taking back the throne from Arden, because he's still sitting there waiting for us. He's been sitting, waiting patiently for these past 10 years. And that also explains why everyone looked so aged in the prologue of the game, way back at the start of part 1, where it did the prologue and then jumped back. It's because there's a 10-year jump between two of the chapters, that being now. I even upgrade the armor a little bit. The only thing you'll never see me put upgrade into is weight mode, because weight mode's pointless. The only time weight mode is helpful is when you're using sniper rifles, because then you can just freeze time and get your headshots, essentially. But then that just makes sniping way too easy. There's also a lot of notes around Hammerhead you can find to click on and check, you know, just to get yourself caught up with everything you might have missed, especially if you haven't played Comrades or couldn't be bothered to do Comrades, because it is an online multiplayer expansion at the end of the day. Not everyone can be bothered to do all of that. But there is a lot of stuff here to help clean things up, and there's also a shop over by the end, because the good old vendor, he's still around. No Dave though, as far as I can tell. Haven't bumped into him. And this way you can buy some of this really powerful equipment. I think I sell a few bits just so I can buy some of the other bits, like the Black Shield. God damn, I have a lot of stuff. What I usually do, and it's a bit cheeky, because if it's more expensive, there's a reason why it's more expensive, and you shouldn't really sell it. But if it's something that's relatively expensive, and I have more than one of them, I'll sell it until I only have one left. Which is what, if you pay attention to After Custom Mark, what I did as well, or After Custom Mark, so I could restock. I don't recommend it, because usually they're helpful for other things, especially if they're expensive. I'm just doing it because I don't... excuse me, I don't care that much, as my throat dies again. And in here you can buy basic supplies if you need them as well, such as your potions, your remedies, your ethers, yada yada.
Come again.
But it's all the simple stuff really. But that being said, I'm going to call this a part. Next time on Final Fantasy 15, we're going to make our journey to the final campsite. But until then, you guys take care now.